Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is the first of seminars that we'll do on a monthly basis. What we'll be addressing is natural options that are very helpful, very effective, but do not have downsides. And there are natural options to address most things that people have to deal with on a fairly regular basis, whether it be arthritis, carpal tunnel headaches. There are so many, but there are very good natural options for those. What we'll do is we'll do an overview of the tools that are available to you that fit in this category and explain how they work and how you might use them. And it will address the 5 main areas that we work with are optimizing nutrition, hydration, sleep, circulation, and toxin removal. Those are the primary inputs to human health. The other 2, which we do a little bit with, is exercise and the air you breathe, and some filtering processes that take place with that. So those 7 things constitute pretty much everything that affects your health, your life, and your longevity. With nutrition, we have been working with this for about 20 years now, and early on we figured out that a lot of supplements weren't very good. And one of the challenges was to figure out how you could tell if a supplement was good and did you even need the supplement. And so early in this process, we learned how to do something called muscle response testing that is used by all naturopathic physicians, to my knowledge, many herbalists, a lot of chiropractors, not too many medical doctors would use them. An osteopath might use it, but this is basically when something is good for you, your strength goes up significantly, a lot more than you would think. If something's bad for you, it goes down. And so there are many books on this. If you went, here's just one of them, Your Body Can Talk. You could go to Amazon and look up muscle response testing, or kinesiology is the technical name for that. And you're going to see about 20 books on this. So it's been around really quite some time. I didn't invent this. So, but it gives you wonderful insight into, one, does your body need something? There are some products that are great for a lot of people, but if you're allergic to it, it would show up in that test. So we would know before we ever started. We would never recommend something that you tested negative or even neutral on. The way that you do this is you would basically extend your arm out. Somebody presses on it, you figure out what your baseline strength is. Then you would take, we would take 2 things. This is what we commonly do, actually. We'll take a candy, and you can put it under your tongue, but you can also put it here. Your thymus gland is here, under your breastbone. It's a very sensitive area. Everything has a vibrational frequency. Your body knows the vibrational frequencies it likes, knows the ones it doesn't like. And so you take your baseline strength, then you do this with this. What you're going to see is you can use a bag of sugar, anything that's not good for you, which usually has sugar in it. And this is Skittles. Will lower your strength usually about 10 to 20%. Some people are more sensitive to sugar than others. And then you take a nutritious food. An apple would be good, same thing. Your strength's going to go up about 30% with that. We have a bag of lima beans here. Anything, piece of broccoli, cashews, anything that's good will raise your strength about 30%. So, but when we do a muscle response test on a supplement, we want something more than 30%. So we're not really going to probably recommend something unless it's at least 50%. We really would like it to be, most of the things that we're going to recommend are going to be 75 to 100%, literally a doubling of your strength in that test. Some people have arm issues or shoulder issues where somebody can't push down on that. And so we can pull fingers apart. Usually we use the fourth finger in here, and somebody will pull it apart. And that is not a sensitive test, but it can give you, it's useful in some cases where somebody can't have their arm pressed on because they have a shoulder issue or a back issue or something like that. So there are lots of supplements. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't very good. One of the examples we usually use when we do muscle response testing is we'll take a Centrum, very common supplement, chemically based, and with this, when you do the test, it usually will test a little worse than baseline. It'll test like a minus 10%. For most people, occasionally it'll be neutral. You take a whole foods based vitamin. This is the one that we have. It's really the only one that we offer because it's the best that we've found. We've tested every supplement we have over many, many years, and each one of them is the best we've found in its category. So we know going in that, you know, this, if you need something, we have figured out already what is an excellent supplement for that category. So in this case, a muscle response test, most people are going to test plus 75 to 100% on this. The labels, it'd be very hard to tell. The labels will look pretty similar. You won't be able to see if it's a small bottle, but looking at the label, not much help. But the ingredients, the manufacturing process, all of those things are very different with these, and the muscle response test gives us a quick answer with that. So what are the things that people really need? I mean, your goal really is to have, you don't want to buy a lot of supplements. You don't want to take a lot of supplements. Nobody does. And so how do you get the 80% of the benefit from 20% of the products that you can, that are available to you? And so here's what we recommend to our clients. There are three categories that are particularly important as basic needs. These are not special needs. Somebody's arthritis or diabetes. There are other things that will be helpful to them as well, but they still want these core things. So the basic nutrition is you want a vitamin and mineral that is a whole foods based vitamin and mineral. Your body knows what to do with food. It does not know what to do with the chemicals, unfortunately. That are in a Centrum and a one a day, and so many of those. You want an omega-3. That's official. There are plant-based omega-3s, but the official or the animal-based ones are more effective. They're easier for your body to use in an effective way. That is cardiovascular health, skin health, brain health, huge thing. It's the first thing that a psychologist should use with somebody that has mild depression issues, because it helps people feel better and think more positively as well. So that's the second thing. The third thing is almost all of the issues that bother us. It can be arthritis, vasculitis, bursitis. You go down the list of all the itises, and there's a lot of itises. So they are all inflammation related. And so inflammation is the root cause for most issues, and certainly the ones that bother people with age. Dementia is inflammation related. I mean, pretty much everything is. And so you want to take something that controls systemic inflammation. You hear a lot about turmeric, which has curcumin in it. That is very good. We have found that the combination of turmeric and ginger is much more effective, tests much better. So we use that as the third item in kind of this basic category. There are many other things we can do. We'll get into a few of those, but that's the core. So the second thing is immune function, and those things will improve immune function to some degree, but they're broader based. But so we want some things that really address immune function. And this is especially important now where we're dealing with COVID, and so much of what I'm getting ready to say will help you prevent COVID, getting it, or if you do get it, have a much milder case. So the first thing is vitamin C, and this is not in any particular order. Vitamin C is critical to a lot of functions. I mean, I think most people know that. You want probably 2 capsules 1,000 milligrams a day total. Each capsule is usually about 500 milligrams. So that's one. That's vitamin C is used in every process. One of the important ones, and when we get to longevity, this will be important as well. You can't assimilate collagen without vitamin C. So vitamin C is, critical to the process of keeping your cartilage working, your joints, skin, vascular system, all that's dependent on collagen, and assimilation process requires vitamin C, as an example. The third item is zinc, the second item is zinc. Zinc is critical to male sexual function, to your immune function, long list of things. But today, the thing that's so important about zinc is when it's in your cell, it stops the viral replication process. And if you go to PubMed or any authoritative source and you look up zinc and you put in zinc and viral replication, you're going to see many, many studies on that. And so this is known, it's been around a long time. It's really sad that our government officials have not said what I'm telling you right now, that zinc is critical to immune function and will actually interrupt the viral replication process. There is one slight challenge with that is that zinc doesn't go into the cell as well as because it's an ion, it needs something to go in, and that's where the hydroxychloroquine was helpful. Quercetin is very helpful for that, which is a normal supplement. So that is helpful as well. It's not one of the three, but I mentioned that because that can be helpful, especially if somebody's very concerned about COVID. The third item is vitamin D. And if you did a graph of and I'm just going to draw it out for you because this will make some sense. So on the y-axis we have basically how many people number sick, and on the x-axis is amount of vitamin D. It looks like this. Basically, if we can see that, if you don't have vitamin D, then you are very subject to having a major problem with COVID and other issues, COVID especially. If you have at least 32 nanograms per deciliter, then your chances go way down with that. And so having enough vitamin D is critical to a lot of things, to overall health, but especially in this, because it will actually, what it does is it helps your immune system rise to the occasion if you get COVID, but it stops it, slows it down before you get the cytokine storm that you hear about. In COVID, the issue really is not actually the virus as much as it is the overreaction by the body, and lack of D allows that overreaction to take place. And then the cytokine storm is what kills the person. It's not the virus, it's the reaction to the virus. And so vitamin D is critical. So that's the third one of those. And then for those people that are over 65, or excuse me, 55, then at that point, your body age is starting to have an effect. I mean, skin starts thinning, your energy level drops, things start to not work so well. And obviously you're subject to things like cancer, the chances of that go way up. So there are three factors there that you actually can control and have a lot of input to. The first one is, we mentioned already, collagen. Collagen is critical for your vascular system, not just your skin. You see your skin, you don't see your vascular system, but if it loses its flexibility and becomes brittle, then that's when you have these subcutaneous hematomas you see on a lot of older people. It's where you start having these TIAs, these mini strokes, because the vascular system has become brittle. And so you want it to be stay flexible, and collagen is required for that, and the vitamin C as well. So supplementing with collagen it becomes critical at that point. The second thing is you may have heard of telomeres. Telomeres are each of your DNA strands has in your cell has something that looks like a little shoelace at the end of it, shoelace tip, like the plastic tip. It keeps it from fraying. The same thing there. The challenge is that your cells, as they divide, and they divide every few months, there's a limit to how much. It's called the Hayflick limit. And when they have run out of telomeres, they can no longer divide, and they become what's called senescent. And if you have enough of those, you die. And so that's why human beings, they can only divide 40 to 60 times. Dogs only live 10 to 15 years. They can only divide 15 times. So if we can extend the number of times, lengthen the telomeres, and extend the number of times that those cells divide, it literally adds years to your life. And fortunately, a lot of research has been done on that, and there are supplements that can help with that. Lifestyle obviously affects it. Vitamin, fish oils help it. A number of things actually help that, but the most significant one is an astragalus supplement, and that really helps that expand. And so we have that, and that's fairly new information, but very exciting information about literally adding years to your life. The third one in that category is something, a lot of research has been done in longevity. One of the chief researchers at Harvard is a doctor actually from Australia originally, Dr. David Sinclair. And he had done, in his research, has found that you can extend by increasing a certain molecule in your mitochondria where your energy is produced in your body. You can add energy to that. It's called NAD+. The astragalus supplement is helpful for that, but only certain ones. Not all astragalus supplements do this, unfortunately. We found one that works really, really well. And so what that does is it allows your more energy to be produced in your mitochondria, which gives you the energy to live, which of course wanes as you get older, unfortunately. But the other very significant thing that it does is it allows your body to repair DNA damage. So you get DNA damage all the time. It can be radiation, it can be free radical damage. There are a number of things that damage DNA. And early in your life, your body's really good at fixing those. It has an enzyme called sirtuin that actually fixes that. But as you get older, they dissipate and they get lost, essentially. And your body's no longer as good at repairing this DNA damage, which of course that leads to cancer and many other health issues. And so the ability to repair this is huge. So the third item is it's NMN, which is nicotinamide mononucleotide. It's a supplement. It's one lozenge a day. Tastes good. Actually, the astragalus tastes good as well. It can be done as a liquid or a capsule. So these are easy to do. They're not particularly expensive, but they are absolutely, they give you the ability to reduce the rate of aging that you're dealing with once you pass, say, maybe 55 or so. So there are many other things. I mean, if somebody has arthritis, there are supplements for that are very effective at reducing inflammation, blood pressure, cholesterol. Make a quick note about cholesterol. The medical establishment is very big on your taking a statin. There are natural things that will lower cholesterol naturally that have other side benefits rather than all the negative side effects. Statins have lots of negative side effects. And if you do take a statin, you really, you need to take a CoQ10 because your body will stop making an enzyme that is absolutely critical to all your muscle functions, and it won't make it anymore on a statin, and you have to supplement that. But hopefully you don't take a statin, and if your cholesterol is a little high, there's some natural things that will address that as well as some other things. So prostate issues are common, very effective supplements for that. diabetes, a lot that can be done with diabetes. We use CBD a lot. When CBD came out, we have protocols for addressing most of the things you can think of: arthritis, fibromyalgia, carpal tunnel, the long list. CBD actually was very helpful to probably half of those protocols when it came out. We have CBD that is derived from hemp, which the one you normally think about. We also have CBD that is from alternative sources that test great, that has no THC in it at all. It's 0 THC, and that tests very well as well. So there are many options in that, and so we would address those individually. They're pretty much whatever you need to accomplish that you want to accomplish. There is a supplement for that, though we continue to learn new things all the time, and so we certainly don't know it all now, and that's one thing that keeps us excited, that we can address most things very effectively with things that don't have a downside. And we know going in that your body really wants it based on the testing. So that's nutrition. Hydration is critical. Hydration does a couple of things. So your body's mostly water anyway. If you become dehydrated, mental function decreases, energy decreases. So water's very critical to you. But one of the things that you may not be aware of, it's how your body flushes toxins. And so basically the ability to drinking enough water is important, but you want to do a couple of things to it, ideally, to optimize it. And that's what we're trying to do, is we want to get the chlorine out of it. It's a toxin, fine for transmission because it kills bacteria, but you don't want the chlorine and you don't want the bacteria either. So you want to filter that stuff out. And if you put it through a strong magnetic field, you break clumps of molecules apart. So rather maybe 50 or 60 in a group of molecules that have trouble getting into your cells effectively, we break that up. Maybe we have 5 or 6 atoms in a molecule or in a clump, molecules in a clump, and they will go into your cells very effectively, but they'll also get the waste products out much better. So one of the things that you can do with that to show that is if we have actually bottled water is worse than tap water because it has the plastic in it. So bottled water will test worse than tap water. But if you take water that's been put through these processes, it will actually, your strength will go up about 30%. About 15% when you take the chlorine out, and another 15% when you put it through the magnetic field to break the clumps of molecules apart. So that's another way you can confirm, okay, this water is actually better for me than just regular tap water, certainly bottled as well. Certain next area that you want to optimize is circulation. So circulation, obviously critical. One of the reasons that children heal so much faster than adults, especially as they get older, is that their circulation is great. And so that's the key to healing. It's key to a lot of things. So we have multiple ways to address improved circulation. The one way is magnetics. When blood goes through a magnetic field, it causes vasodilation through something called the nitric oxide cycle. Here's a book written by Louis Ignarro, one of the 3 doctors that won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, for basically documenting how the body regulates blood flow. It's called the nitric oxide cycle. And essentially, when you eat a protein, the amino acids in that are used to make, arginine specifically is used to make an NO. That's his No More Heart Disease is a play on the nitric oxide, NO. Carried on the red blood cell. When it goes through a magnetic field, it frees it from the red blood cell, and when it's in the blood, then it causes vasodilation. It relaxes the smooth muscles that make up the vascular system, and you don't have to expand the pipe very much to get a lot more blood flow. So healing rates are increased. Tennis elbow is a good example. I play tennis, and so I've had tennis elbow since I was 46. Like most people get tennis elbow about 40. And so with that, if you just leave it to heal on its own, it's about a 6-month process. It takes a long, long time because you don't get a lot of circulation here. If we take a spot magnet, size of a quarter, and we put it there, then you just get a lot more circulation. It becomes a 1-month problem, 1 month and a half. You can play at 1 month. And we'll also use a far infrared sleeve to keep it warm and limber during play. And so that's dramatic change, but most anywhere we feel like we can reduce that time about half actually. And so that's the way we use magnets. We can improve sleep. We can do many things with magnets. But you can also take more arginine, more of the amino acid that is in meats and protein. You can take more of that and your body will make more nitric oxide. And so that creates systemic vasodilation as well. So that is useful for many things. One of the things that tends to happen as you get older, you end up building up, you get the atherosclerosis, you get buildup of gunk, really, essentially, in your vascular system. And this, by increasing the circulation, you will be able to actually reverse that process. And again, this is him saying it in the book. He's saying how nitric oxide can prevent and even reverse heart disease and strokes on the front of his book. So I didn't make that up either. So very effective, and we can help you understand more about that. Everything I'm telling you is very well documented. If you ever need it, we'll send it to you. Our mission, really, we're not replacing a doctor by any means. Doctors are there to diagnose, they're there to run tests. Very important. What we will do is, when you know what the deal is from your doctor on a health issue or something you want to avoid, we can test you. We know what things will work for that. So we'll know that going in, provide the documentation, the research, so you have a better conversation with your doctor. Doctors get very little education. They've learned a lot about disease, and they learned a lot about drugs. They've learned very little about nutrition. They don't know anything about, these other things, the magnetics. That's just not their thing. And so don't expect them to know much about that. So you have to take the information yourself and have a conversation. Your goal is to use the least invasive thing that will do what you want. Unfortunately, most doctors start out with something that may help you, but it sure can hurt you too. Every drug is a toxin. The study of pharmacology is toxicology, and so these are all toxins. They do not, almost never, I cannot think, other than antibiotics, the only thing I can think of where it actually addresses the root cause of the problem, because obviously there's a bacterial issue. But in nothing else that I'm aware of does the drug actually fix the root cause. It masks a symptom, yes, hopefully, but there's a cost for that. It's a toxin, it creates problems, especially as you use multiple drugs. So your goal is to address the root cause, and to do that in a way that won't hurt you. And if we miss it, we'll be successful, figure probably about 80% of the time, but we won't always be, but we're not going to hurt anything in the process. So you're no problems if we don't get there with that. And that's where you want to start, not where something's could potentially really hurt you if you have a choice. On sleep's clearly critical. If you don't sleep, you're prone to health problems. That's very well documented. So what we want to do is a few things. We want to help you sleep well. There are a number of things that help that. There certainly is melatonin, there's valerian, there are a number of things that help that process, CBD, and we can help you choose between those things. But also magnets added to your pillow increase circulation of the brain. They induce your own pineal gland to secrete more of its own melatonin, which is ideal. So generally speaking, what we find is people who will use magnets on their pillow will get into the deep stages of sleep faster. They'll stay there longer, more efficient sleep. So they actually sleep better, but they'll take about a half an hour less to do it. That's very consistent. We guarantee that you'll be happy with that. In fact, we guarantee everything we recommend. So, we want people to use it and be comfortable that if it doesn't do what we think it should do, they're welcome to bring it back. We'll work with them in some way to compensate. But the other thing during sleep is we want to increase the recovery that takes place during sleep. So we can use a magnetic mattress pad, which increases circulation. That has multiple effects. Obviously, more circulation, you recover better during the night, but it also detoxifies you. It helps your body get the toxins out of your cells, get them into your waste streams so that they're eliminated from your body. That's a huge thing. And we use far infrared technology as well. Far infrared can be made into socks. It can be made into comforters, which you see behind me. And what far infrared material does is it absorbs energy here from your body, but as it absorbs energy, it has to give off energy too to maintain equilibrium. But when it gives energy off, it does it at the far infrared range of the spectrum. It's a very long wavelength. It penetrates into your body. It neutralizes acids in your body. It increases circulation too, but it actually neutralizes acids in the body. And one way you can show this, and we've done this in demonstrations, you can take a lemon, slice it up in little pieces, put it in one baggie, put it in another baggie, just put it in these socks, or we have other wraps for elbows, arms, thighs, knees, whatever, that have far infrared in it. You put it in that for about a half an hour to an hour, and you take the other half lemon, you just put it on a plate away from that. And then when you taste them, they don't taste the same. The one that's out of plate, obviously lemon makes you pucker up. You know it's a lemon, that what's been in that material, but the pucker factor is gone. In half an hour to an hour with that material through those baggies, it's neutralized the citric acid that is in the lemon, but it's neutralized it. So it's, that tangy taste that you get from a lemon is gone. But that it just shows you how through your skin, as through the baggie, it's going to neutralize acids, which is very important. Acid alkaline balance plays a huge part in your life. And so getting rid of these toxins is very significant. So we can optimize sleep in multiple ways there in the recovery that takes place during sleep. Finally, toxins is a huge issue. And toxins are many things, probably more than what you think of as toxins. I mean, we know chlorine's a toxin, for example, in the water. We know that mercury, which you can get from a number of things, unfortunately. Obviously, you can get it from tuna. You hear of that, but mercury's still in a lot of vaccines. The trivalent vaccine for flu, when you get the normal vaccine, it has thimerosal. That's mercury. Mercury does not come out on its own very well. And some people have a gene mutation. About 20% of the population has a gene mutation, the technical name is an MTFHR mutation, that they can't methylate folate to folic acid. And therefore, their ability to detoxify naturally is compromised. And that's a real issue. Autism is an example. There are many issues surrounding that. And so you don't want mercury, but we fortunately, all of us have toxins. I mean, that we're not going to escape having some, unfortunately, but we have control over that too. We can use multiple things. Alpha lipoic acid is very helpful for that. It'll grab even the brain. It'll grab the aluminum that's in a lot of. They actually used to have more mercury. Now they replaced it with aluminum. It's still essentially to your brain. It's a very toxic substance, and so it'll grab those things and get them out. We also use a zeolite. It's basically volcanic pumice, very, very finely ground, so it's microscopic. And if you looked at it under a microscope, it looks like a rock that has a bunch of holes in it. It's negatively charged, and all the toxins are positively charged. They park themselves. They're not unlike a car parking in a garage, and it's excreted that way, and there's no damage. Because it's a neutral charge for that, the positive and negative, it doesn't do a lot of damage on the way out. So we have a number of ways to detoxify that are critical for many things. Autism, clearly, People who have neuropathy, can be chemically based neuropathy. A lot of dentists have issues with that because they work with amalgams. There are many reasons why, and toxicity can cause a lot of problems. So it's always one of the things we look at. If somebody's pretty sick or has some issues, that can be a huge game changer there, and is very addressable. Liver toxicity. You hear a lot about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's liver toxicity. Again, that's addressable. Alpha lipoic acid, very helpful. There are other things that are helpful to that as well. Toxicity plays a part in dementia. There are a number of things that can be done. Dementia is a real issue now, not just Alzheimer's, but dementia, but there are natural things that can help that. Improving circulation is helpful. Obviously, getting rid of cardiovascular issues is helpful. A lot of the buildup that we talked about earlier for arginine. There is one of the things that happens in there is diabetes 3, which is basically diabetes of the brain. If you don't have it anywhere else, your insulin glucose cycle does not work well. So we can use coconut oil or MCT oil, which is a derivative of coconut oil. It's a fuel source essentially. So there are many things. Of course, detoxification that we've talked about in a few different places, that plays a big part. So there are lots of things that can be done. Omega-3s are a huge thing in preventing a lot of dementia issues. So, but even if things are happening now, there are things that can be done that are natural, that just enhance the body's natural systems there. One of the toxins that we don't hear, you might not think of as a toxin, but is very much so, and you're going to hear a lot more about this, is pulse magnetic fields, EMFs that are put off by cell phones, by cell towers, by Wi-Fi in your house. Those things have a very significant effect on human physiology. To your body, they're like a toxin. So this is a well-researched theory, so there's a lot backing this up, but when you hold a cell phone to your head, there is heat involved, and obviously you have those, the high frequency there. Well, the cells in your brain perceive that as a toxin, and they end up making a thicker cell wall, and a lot of the waste byproducts from respiration don't get out, and so they become more toxic. And so there are some statistics that show that brain cancer is a more significant issue with that. But there's also a lot of men carry cell phones in their pockets, and the sperm count is down about 50% throughout the U.S. population. And so there are lots of effects here. If you want to really dig into this in a fairly short presentation, go to Martin Pall, P-A-L-L, who's he's professor emeritus of biochemistry at Washington State University. He's made presentations to the National Institutes of Health and a number of different organizations, and they're available on YouTube. And he will explain to you the issues. Some of it's technical, but there are some big issues with that. So we're all dealing with it, though. I mean, everybody likes having their cell phone. So, and it's obviously become a central part of our lives. But how can we have the good side and minimize the bad side? So here are a few ideas of things that we do. So cell phone. If you take your cell phone and you do your baseline strength test the way we said, and you call your voicemail or call somebody, you put your cell phone to your head, your strength's going to drop about 30%. That's going to be your confirmation that there is, your body doesn't like that. So we can take this little device. There are a couple of different ones that has rare earth in it. It absorbs the radiation from the phone, basically, and it converts it into a low frequency signal that your body does like. Your body doesn't dislike all frequencies. It likes some of them a lot. Lower frequencies tends to like, higher frequencies not so much. Doesn't like. So you add that to your phone like this, and you put that to your head. Your strength will be not, it won't be at baseline. It'll be 30% above baseline, even when you're on the phone. That's your confirmation that this is doing something good for you, even beyond protecting you from the high frequency waves there. So, and that's very significant. You can protect a room. This is happens to be, it's called a room harmonizer. Basically, plug this in, it generates a low frequency field. And you know, if you're around Wi-Fi or something like that, and you do a strength test, whatever that baseline is, when you plug this in, your strength's going to go up probably about 30% as well, which is your confirmation. I mean, you wouldn't have any way to know if it worked, but when your body reacts like that, you know that something significant is happening. Your body likes that. Electromagnetic fields are, now they're going to 4G was bad enough, but 5G, where their range is much shorter, so they're going to have to put them in a lot more holes. Do not let them put one outside your house. It's a real issue. And you know, again, you can do that strength change, but that's what they're going to want to do. And so be aware of that. And for children, it should be illegal. You know, it's the brain's developing. You do not want, like, you don't want to have a young child to have a cell phone for the same reason there. And so that is something you'll hear more about. But you know, this is something that's coming, and you can protect yourself from that. Just a little bit more on magnetics, because that is, we do a lot with that, and they are also helpful in getting rid of toxins by increasing circulation in your body to get that out. We'll use magnetic insoles like this, just wear in your shoe. They're different sizes, but this gives you an idea of, this is a magnetic field indicator, and I have to be down pretty close on it. You see it's going off now out there. So this is a, this is a spot magnet. If you can see the magnet in there, it's a little hard to see, but size of a quarter. And so this is, so you can see much further away, that's strong. So this is this generator, it has a very strong magnet in it, but so you can see this, that it's, you got to be it'll be a little further away. But when I turn this on and it spins, battery may be out. There it is. There we go. But see the difference? See how far that's all the way, that's what, 2 feet, something like that. But it's through anything, through the table. I've got it under the table now. So pretty much anything that hurts, that is a major burst of circulation, which is very good for you. You could use it 24 hours a day. There's no downside to it. Just like in MRI, they're extremely strong magnetic fields, no problem with that. But anything that hurts can be, the discomfort can be reduced about a half, whether it be a headache or your arm hurts or whatever, and that should last about 24 hours. So that is a wonderful tool for somebody that has significant pain. And there are lots of ways to deal with pain. We've talked about CBD. There are some very good supplements for that. A number of ways to deal with that. So, how we work is that I've given you kind of an overview of the tools that we commonly use. There are others, but we're hitting the high spots here. So what we would say, if somebody had a health issue or multiple health issues, I would say we have protocols for most of those. If we don't have one, we'll develop one. That's how we developed all of the ones we have. Somebody came and said, "What can you do for this?" So, well, I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. So so we'll send the information. It'll have the research. All this is back. I mean, everything I've told you, we have great research on it, and we'll send that. Though, but we'll help it make sense so you don't have to get overwhelmed with stuff. But we would say, okay, review this information, get an idea for it. Well, let's discuss your specific situation. Once we know what you know what's going on with you and what would work, because there are usually many ways to do these things. These are all tools, but there are multiple ways to do a lot of the things. And it kind of depends on what the application is, what somebody's lifestyle is. Those kinds of things all affect that. But we'll make a proposal and we'll say, okay, here are the things that we recommend. And we guarantee your satisfaction with them. We'll have a good indicator. We'll know they're good for you going in, but we won't know the final how successful it is until you try it. And one of the things about natural stuff, sometimes it takes longer than you know, a drug. Lots of times works very quickly. It doesn't fix things, but it makes you feel better quickly. In this case, we're really addressing the root causes, so usually it does take somewhat longer. But if you think about it, your cells replace themselves. Blood every 4 months, but in bones are obviously a lot longer. It's like 7 years, but probably 5 or 6 months is about the average time for cells to be replaced. Well, when your body makes a new cell, it's going to make it out of whatever materials it has. And if you're providing new, better nutrients or materials for it to build a cell out of, it'll build a better cell. And hopefully one, especially for autoimmune issues, where somebody's body's making a cell that its body doesn't like. It thinks, okay, that's not normal. There's something wrong with that. Some of that can be turned off by making a better cell. Certainly there are other things that can play a part in autoimmune issues as well. But you know, so it might be a few months, but we can monitor that. We actually will use a form that's a benefits tracking form, especially when we're doing a major, you know, if they're starting to take supplements, if they're on a sleep system, the magnetic sleep system. We use something where you track 30 quality of life factors on a 1 to 10 scale, and you get it. It takes something that's subjective that makes it objective and measurable, where you'd rate it before you start 7, 30, 60, 90 days. And you get actually a numerical number for that. And it really helps you confirm that this thing is of help, or maybe it's not, but it should be. We go in knowing that it's good for you. So if someone is not in Tri-Cities area, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, we are doing more now where we do that same thing. We send them the proposal, but we will make the recommendations. We'll send them the products that we, obviously based on their wanting to do this. We'll do a Zoom call where they just need somebody else with them to do this testing that we've been talking about. And we'll test the products. They'll actually test them. The person testing doesn't need to know anything. All they got to do is push down on their arm or pull their fingers apart. And their body's going to tell us what it wants and needs. And so they don't have to keep anything, but usually they would keep the things that they test well on, if they've approved that process, and they just send back the things they don't test well on. So, I mean, an example of why we would do this is, so I had a lady come in that had allergy issues, and so quercetin is usually the thing we would recommend for that, and for asthma and allergies. Well, she didn't test particularly well on quercetin. She needed iodine. Basically, it was a thyroid issue more than it was the sensitivity. And so her body told us what it needed. And so what I would have started out thinking would be based on what she was telling me didn't end up being what we ultimately did. And that's the power of that your body really is communicating through those strength changes what it wants and needs. And there are some other things we can do with that to determine how much you need, how long you need to take it, those kinds of things. We can know, we have a very good indication of that before we ever even start. So that's available to anyone, and we're happy to do that. And it works very well for somebody that's not right around here. So being here is nice, but not a requirement. So that is that is basically the overview. If any of this you feel like could be of help to you, be delighted to hear from you. Let us know what's going on. We'll provide the information and also stuff that you can take to your doctor, because if you're taking a medication, we're not going to tell you to stop taking that, but we're going to provide you the information to go talk to your doctor, to have a good conversation where you get to make a more valid decision based on better information. And you may be teaching your doctor something too, which is not uncommon actually as well. So thank you. I appreciate your watching, and if we can help, just let us know.